Hey everyone, I'm SJ Molloy, author of the Luminara series. I've been asked to answer some questions from you lovely readers by video message. So this is video message number 1. Here goes. Okay, so who was your inspiration for Luca and Lexi? Luca and Lexi aren't based in anyone in particular. I wanted them to be unique. I wrote lots of notes and I just wanted them to be different and set apart from anything I've ever read anyway, and I wanted them to have their own unique traits and personality, a different background to anything I've probably read before, so that's why. Okay, how did it make you feel after people started buying and reading Lusuria? Well, overwhelmed, completely and utterly shocked. I didn't expect to get as many sales as I did. The first day it went live, I thought I'd get 30 downloads, and those would have probably been from my friends, because they would have been, downloading to support me in the first day. And I think I got a few hundred or whatever, and I thought, wow. And then it went from there, and a few weeks later, I was selling hundreds and hundreds, thousands in all different countries, and I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that people that I didn't know or hadn't reached out to were recommending the books and buying them, and it still feels quite surreal. It hasn't really sunk in, if I'm honest. But yeah, I'm just grateful, really grateful for all the support and the fact that everybody is enjoying these books. Okay, next question. How do you hash out your sex scenes? The sex scenes for me in the books have to be pertinent to the character growth and flow in the plot, so I don't put them in any random page just for the sake of putting another sex scene in or spicing it up a little. The sex scenes tend to be round about a specific moment, whether it be a dark and light situation, conflict, anger, rage. Normally, if Lexi's overwhelmed, she's vulnerable, or she's really emotional, or Luca's trying to get her to open up or be more confident, tries information out of her. So the sex tends to be before or after they have long, deep and meaningful chats. So that's where I kind of have incorporated them into the plot to make sure it's really specific. Okay. Favourite go-to epic books? Oh wow, I have hundreds. I'm an avid reader. Lots and lots and lots of favourite authors, hundreds of favourite books. So what I will do is I'll tell you one of my favourite all-time books, which is a historical romance, and it's Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. Okay, next. Do you get hot and bothered when writing the sex scenes? I know I do when I read them. Oh, well, you're going to see me blush now, because this little author who writes erotic romance actually is quite shy, believe it or not. I don't get hot and bothered when I write them, purely because I'm focused in the writing. I go into autopilot mode. For me, I'm concerned about the words, how they string together, the tone of voice, the actions, what's happening, how do they sound, is it believable? So for me, I just focus on the words, and it's almost like, I type them down at rapid speed. I visualise what's happening, but it's not until I go back and reread it. So normally what I would do is go back the next day and read what I've wrote the day before. I'll make adjustments, I'll delete and I'll add, and then I'll absorb in, and I'll say, oh my god, did I actually write that? Sometimes I've read stuff back and thought, oh wow, I did actually write that. So when I read it back, it actually sinks in then, and I can be hot and bothered and have a little flush when I read it back. Okay, has any of the events within the Luminara series been from real life events, or are they all fictional? They are all fictional. There is nothing in the books that has happened event wise that is based on anything that has ever happened to me, anyone associated to me, past or present. It is all based in my imagination, all fictional. There is a few similarities that I have incorporated into the writing, which all authors do, purely for knowledge, or because it's easy to write about. Lexi's dog is based on my own dog because she is nuts. She's absolutely crazy. Lexi's relationship with her grandparents, I kind of based them on my own grandparents. I found that, was quite easy to write about because I just imagined, their personalities in a way. Locations. Most of the locations in the books are places I have visited, so I find that easy to write about. But as for events, the events are all fictional. Okay. Have you ever thought about collaborating with another author? That's an excellent question. Yep, I would love to collaborate with another author. Something I've always thought about doing. Maybe when I'm finished this series, something I can look at. I would consider doing an anthology as well with other erotic romance novelists too. I'm thinking that I would always love to do a romance book. Somebody like Nicholas Sparks, he would write the male point of view, I would write the female point of view, and we would write something quite bittersweet and wonderful. That would be the dream. Okay, what have you learned since starting Lusuria? Oh wow, I've learned so much. Every day is a school day. I'm still learning. It's so new. This industry is ever revolving. It's ever changing. It grows every day. You wake up in the morning and you need to embrace a different change and direction. When I started writing, it was all new to me, so I was like a fish out of water, and I had a lot of learning to do. And if it wasn't for the help from my editors, I would probably be, still fumbling, or trying to find my feet, so to speak. They've helped me mould and shape this series. They've been a great help, both of them. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be. I've learned so much. And also from other authors as well. Every day I'm emailing and interacting with other best-selling authors, and we lean on each other for advice, and we give each other tips. And I've had so much wonderful advice from other authors that I would be indebted to, and I'm really grateful for, because I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for that. And everyone is so sincere and genuine, and people want to see you do well. And sure, we all make mistakes, but it's about learning and moving forward. And I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I have made lots of mistakes, but it just makes me more determined to go back and change things and try and get it right. I think for me that's really important. Okay, I've been thinking about this a bit, and the thing I wonder the most is why in romance novels the lead men are all billionaires or millionaires. Considering the lead women never want them for their money, just the sex, why can't they be drop dead gorgeous, a fireman, or a policeman, or a Navy SEAL, a man in uniform other than a suit? That's an excellent question, actually. The reason that I characterised Luca into being a CEO in a suit is because before I started writing, I joined lots of online book groups, started interacting with readers, and I'd done a few polls, and I would ask them, what their preference was and what they liked in a fictional boyfriend character and what they wanted to read. At the time, the majority went with suit, and that's purely the reason why I chose that. Also, as the story started to develop through my own notes, I knew that it would fit in quite well with the background and where I wanted the plot to go. For me, the books are all about escapism, so that tied in nicely to the storyline of the books. Having said that, I did want to add an element into the books that people can relate to, and it can be down to earth. So Cameron, our brother, he's a policeman, he's in firearms. Our friend's a nurse, she's a physiotherapist. Our other friend's a fitness instructor and nutritionalist. One of the Lucas sister-in-laws is a stay-at-home mum, and so I wanted to kind of be quite rounded and cover quite a lot. But that's why Luca is in a suit. It's not that I would necessarily write that for every book or series I do, but for this one, that's what kind of fitted. Thank you. Okay, so that's part 1. I hope I answered all your questions. I'll make a second video for part 2. If you have any other questions, check out my website. It's www.sjmolloy.com. You can email me at author@sjmolloy.com. You can check me out Facebook, Twitter, TSU, Pinterest, Goodreads. So yeah, go and check out the books if you haven't downloaded the Luminara series, available now, Lusuria, L'Amour and Lucas Lust. Okay, bye everyone. Have a good day.